Phantasy Star Online was one of my favorite games on the Dreamcast, so upon hearing it would be getting a handheld version on the DS, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. The concept is very simple. You can make your very own character, choosing from 3 races, which all have different strengths and weaknesses, and each excelling at a certain type of weapon. From here, you wake up on a distant planet with no memories of anything prior to your awakening, and then take on various missions at the guild in the closest city. It's all about leveling up your character, collecting lots and lots of items, strengthening your weapons, and then playing online with other players around the world, which is surprisingly still active through private servers. It's here with the cooperative play that the game is at its best, especially when teaming up with friends to tackle tougher dungeons or grind for rare gear. Now, for a Nintendo DS game, Phantasy Star Zero looks fantastic. The 3D environments and characters are all well rendered, and the art style embraces the futuristic, anime-inspired aesthetic that fans of the series will know and love. Character designs are detailed, and the various locations, whether futuristic cityscapes or mysterious alien-like landscapes, are vibrant and engaging, making each of the game's missions feel fresh and enjoyable. The game does an excellent job of immersing players into its sci-fi world. With its nostalgic charm and ambitious design for a DS game, Phantasy Star Zero is a rewarding journey for fans of the genre and a worthwhile experience for retro RPG enthusiasts. Dragon Ball Ultimate Butoden is by far one of the most impressive games that hit the DS and set a high standard for how graphically impressive a game could be on the system. The gameplay is your standard fighting setup, with the controls being intuitive and utilizing the DS's face buttons and touchscreen to execute basic attacks, special moves, and the series' signature energy blasts. Combat is fluid and fast-paced, with each character having a distinct fighting style that reflects their personality and abilities from the anime. Whether you're unleashing Goku's iconic Kamehameha or Vegeta's final flash, the game perfectly captures the high-energy feeling of Dragon Ball Z battles. Now, in terms of graphics, each fighter is rendered with impressive detail and care, staying faithful to their anime counterparts. The game's animation is fluid and dynamic, especially during battles, with each move flowing seamlessly into combos and characters reacting appropriately to hits with exaggerated poses and facial expressions. One of the standout features of the game's visuals, though, are the special effects, which are all rendered with bright, screen-filling energy blasts and glowing light trails that perfectly capture the larger-than-life nature of the series. The use of effects like motion blur, impact flashes, and shockwaves make every attack feel impactful and cinematic, ensuring that each and every fight is just as engaging and enjoyable as the last. Ultimate Butoden is by far one of, if not the, most impressive game you can find on the DS in terms of visuals. Kingdom Hearts Recoded for the Nintendo DS brought an interesting twist to the series by combining RPG elements with a digital puzzle-like storyline that explored an unusual side of the Kingdom Hearts universe. The story revolves around one of Sora's longtime allies, Jiminy Cricket, in his journal, which has mysteriously developed glitches. To uncover the cause, King Mickey digitizes the journal, creating a virtual Sora who journeys through bugged versions of the previous game's worlds. When it comes to gameplay, it incorporates a mix of different genres, from platforming to shooting and side-scrolling, which help to diversify the experience. But combat is the real star of the show, which plays out in real time, and thanks to something known as the Matrix system, the player is able to tailor their abilities to their strengths. Now, in terms of graphics, Recoded is truly impressive on the small screen. Although the hardware limitations of the DS mean that it can't deliver the sweeping visuals of the mainline Kingdom Hearts games, it still manages to capture enough of the series' iconic style to keep it feeling authentic. The characters are rendered in great detail despite the lower resolution. Bosses and enemies, particularly the Heartless, look familiar yet distinct enough to work on the DS, and their animations are smooth and engaging for the most part. Unfortunately, during some of the more intense battles or scenes throughout the game, there are a few frame drops, but it's nothing that ruins the experience as a whole or affects the minute-to-minute gameplay in a meaningful way. If you're a fan of the series or just action RPGs in general, then Kingdom Hearts Recoded is a game that deserves a spot in your collection as well. The DS was no stranger to quality races, with the likes of Mario Kart and Ridge Racer making an appearance on the console. You were never short of options when it came to looking for your next racing fix. One game that doesn't get talked about too often though has to be Asphalt 4, which originally released for iOS and eventually made its way to Nintendo's handheld. Players get to choose from a huge selection of vehicles, including licensed cars and motorcycles, as they compete in high-stake races across a range of international locations. You've got a mix of traditional circuit races, time trials, and elimination modes, which provide a nice amount of variety to the gameplay. When it comes to the game's visual makeup, the developers did a great job of rendering these vehicles in 3D on the DS, ensuring that each car is incredibly detailed even if they are all somewhat simplified. The vehicles are sleek and maintain a decent level of polish, with shiny textures and bright colors that stand out during races. But where Asphalt 4 really shines though is in its use of special effects to heighten the sense of speed. Motion blur, albeit limited, is employed during boosts to give an awesome sense of acceleration, with glowing trails and vibrant bursts of light that add to the overall sense of velocity. Collisions and crashes are accompanied by sparks and debris, though these effects are relatively simple compared to modern standards, but they all work together to create a believable take on the world of racing, regardless of the limited power the DS commands. Overall, it may not push the boundaries of the DS's graphical capabilities, but its colourful tracks, well-modelled vehicles, and smooth performance make it a visually enjoyable ride for fans of arcade racing. Ni no Kuni is best known for its unforgettable adventure that released on the PlayStation 3, but what not many people know though is that it was originally a DS game that unfortunately never found its way outside of Japan on the system. It follows a boy known as Oliver who embarks on a quest to save his mother by traveling to a parallel world and aiming to fix the hearts of the people around him. On the gameplay front, it's your standard turn-based RPG setup, where each of your party members gets to perform a wide range of different abilities, as well as unlock and learn new ones throughout the course of the game as you level up. What makes it a bit different though is the concept of familiars, which are essentially Pokemon-like monsters that you collect that will fight alongside you and add an extra layer of strategy to the battles. The real star of the show though are the incredible visuals that make up the world of Ni no Kuni. Leveraging the creative talents of Studio Ghibli and the technical expertise of Level 5, the game transforms the modest Nintendo DS hardware into a canvas for breathtaking artistry. The environments are a visual feast, ranging from lush forests and quaint villages to sprawling deserts and mysterious dungeons. Because of this, each area manages to feel distinct, with vibrant color palettes and intricate details that make exploring each of them truly rewarding. Though the DS hardware has limitations, the game smartly employs tricks like layered backgrounds and the clever use of lighting to give the environment depth. Some areas even feature animation of their own, such as flowing water or swaying trees, which really help the world feel alive. From its richly detailed environments to its mesmerizing animated cutscenes, the game delivers a visual experience that feels like a playable Studio Ghibli film that stands out as one of the system's crowning achievements. Ever since the first entry on the PlayStation, and as a skateboarder in real life, the Tony Hawk series is something I've constantly gone back to and enjoy to this day. One game that I never got round to playing until recently though was American Skateland, and despite its cel-shaded appearance, it provides a solid skating experience with the same formula that made the franchise a fan favourite. It's incredibly easy to pick up and play, with the goal being to complete a variety of challenges such as scoring a set number of points, collecting items, or performing specific tricks. What really blew me away though were the game's graphics that have a real Jet Set Radio vibe to them, with all of the skaters having their own distinct style, even if their designs lean towards simplicity due to the hardware constraints. More importantly, their animations are smooth and natural, especially when performing tricks, grinds, and flips that provide a real sense of satisfaction as you pull off endless strings of combos and land it successfully. Each level you skate on is designed with vibrant, cartoon-inspired aesthetics, making the visuals pop on the DS's small screen. And even though the textures are extremely basic, they're all colorful and do a good job of setting the tone for each environment. May that be the downtown cityscapes or desert-themed areas, each of them offer a great variety of visual backdrops. One of the game's strongest aspects though is its performance that remains consistent and smooth, with no noticeable frame drops throughout the fast-paced gameplay. While it doesn't reach the same level of graphical complexity seen in its console counterparts, the cel-shaded style does a good job of translating the essence of the series to the handheld space. Harvest Moon: The Grand Bazaar ended up being one of the best entries in the beloved farming simulation series. It once again sees you becoming a farmer in a small town, which is a shadow of its former glory, with most of the stores drying up and moving on. It's your job to maintain a shop and its stock at the bazaar and help restore it to its once legendary status, and to do this you'll find yourself exploring the town and collecting as many items as you can. Of course, planting and growing your crops is at the core of the gameplay, which sees you being able to cook them, give them to other people throughout the town, or store them to be sold at your shop. Even though it may seem quite mundane, there's something relaxing about carrying out the simple tasks that the game asks of you that just never gets old. Now, the graphics in the Grand Bazaar feature a cheerful and colourful aesthetic that fits the series perfectly. The game adopts a slightly more chibi art style for characters, with exaggerated proportions and cute animations that give the characters plenty of personality. From the excited bounce of villagers as they walk to their exaggerated expressions during conversations, every detail reinforces the light-hearted and whimsical tone of the game. The environments are bright and inviting, with distinct seasons that bring visual variety. Each season's changes are subtle yet effective, with the central bazaar the focal point of the game being particularly charming, bustling with stalls, visitors, and small details that help bring it to life. If you're fond of the series and are looking for a new entry to jump into, then the Grand Bazaar is definitely worth it. At its core, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen for the DS is a mission-driven action game where players control a variety of Transformers, either as Autobots striving to protect Earth, or as Decepticons seeking to conquer it. Each Transformer comes with unique abilities, including melee attacks, ranged weapons, and the iconic vehicle transformations, with each of the missions offering up a fair amount of variety so the gameplay never becomes stale. What really stands out though are the game's visuals that manage to faithfully represent the iconic Transformers, and of course it's nowhere near their home console counterparts, but the models are detailed enough that fans of the series will instantly fall in love. The transformations, a hallmark of the Transformers franchise, are executed with fluid animation. Although they aren't as complex as those in higher end versions of the game, they still convey the sense of scale and mechanical intricacy you would expect from these giant robots. When it comes to the combat itself, special effects like explosions, gunfire, and energy blasts are all rendered with a decent amount of flair, with the particle effects and dynamic lighting helping to give the battles some visual excitement even if the overall graphical quality doesn't hold up to more modern standards. Thankfully, there is minimal slowdown even during large-scale battles or when there are multiple enemies on screen. The performance is stable, and while the game doesn't push the hardware to its absolute limits, it provides a fluid and consistent experience. If you're looking for a great action game to pick up and play on the go, then Revenge of the Fallen is one of the console's best offerings. Flamebringer takes the intense battles of the Bleach anime and manga series and adapts them into a handheld experience on the Nintendo DS. Released exclusively in Japan, the game features a blend of side-scrolling action and RPG elements, delivering a unique take on Bleach's universe. As the player, you have to navigate through 2D stages filled with enemies, obstacles, and bosses, utilizing a range of moves such as normal attacks, specials, and ultimate abilities like Bankai transformations. You'll gain experience points as you defeat enemies and level up, which works towards unlocking new skills and upgrades that give you an extra edge throughout each stage. Now, the game's art style stays faithful to Tite Kubo's original character designs. The sprite work for characters is vibrant, with recognizable details that capture each character's look and personality. Ichigo, Rukia, and other beloved characters are animated well, bringing the action-packed gameplay to life with smooth movements and visually impactful special attacks. The stages in Bleach Flamebringer Flamebringer are diverse and capture a good range of environments from the source material, including areas like Karakura Town, the Soul Society, and Huko Mundo, to name a few. While the environments are not as detailed or as large as similar games on the system, the backgrounds are colourful and have just enough visual appeal to reflect the energy of the Bleach world. As with many DS games though, there are moments where the graphics can appear a bit blocky, and the frame rate may dip slightly during intense battles, but it doesn't detract too much from the overall gameplay. Overall, Flamebringer is a fun and faithful experience that any Bleach fan can instantly jump into and enjoy. Lufia: The Curse of Sinistrals is essentially a remake of the second game in the series that released on the Super Nintendo. You take up the fight as Maxim and set out on a quest to rid the land of the Sinistrals, who have long been waging war against humans. Now visually, the character designs in the game are one of its most noticeable changes, as it opts for a more anime-inspired art style, which is a huge departure from the more grounded pixel art of its Super Nintendo predecessor. During dialogue and cutscenes, the character portraits are detailed and expressive, adding a nice amount of emotional depth to the storytelling. However, in-game character models are far more simplistic, which might feel jarring compared to their more polished 2D counterparts. That being said though, the models are well animated and bring energy to the game's fast-paced combat sequences. Spells and special attacks light up the screen with bright, satisfying effects, and each character's unique abilities are visually distinct, from Maxim's energy slashes to Salen's magical spells and Guy's brute force attacks. The game handles the chaos of battle really well, with smooth animations and minimal slowdown even during large-scale encounters, most notably the boss battles, which are the real highlight of the game. The Sinistrals are massive and imposing, filling the screen with their presence and unleashing attacks that feel appropriate for their size. These battles showcase the game's ability to deliver a sense of scale and spectacle, making them some of the best moments throughout the adventure. Overall, Curse of the Sinistrals may not reach the heights of modern RPG visuals, but its bold art style and dynamic combat effects make it a visually enjoyable reimagining of a classic tale. Well, that does it for another video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to get notified about new videos. You can follow me on all of the socials, which are linked below, to stay up to date, and also join my growing community on Discord to meet many like-minded gamers to continue the conversation with and to take part in giveaways. I'd like to give a special shout out to my Patreon supporters: Rhino, Skill Jim, Shuden, Richard, Daniel, Dio, Omar, Strider, Pierre, Carl, Awesome Jacket Dude, Maximus, Scott, Alfred, Terry, Ryan, Alex, GameCube Galaxy, Curse Salaryman, Fake, and Paddy J for their continued support that helps make these videos possible. If you're interested in joining my Discord or supporting the channel through Patreon, you'll find all of these links down below. As always, thanks for taking the time to check the video out. I'll catch you next time.